for Mr. Gerard. Industrial complex, these fuckers put on a show, right? I wanted to talk to you about this. Like, Gerard's band started My Chemical Romance after 9/11, and it was your response to these fuckers out today. So, how do you feel about the whole idea of co-opting military images for our own use?
Well, you know, it's like that conversation that we had earlier today. Like we had a conversation about taking everything bad and turning it into everything good. So war obviously is very bad. You take that and turn it into good. But it's almost like that won't exist. The good won't exist if you don't do that then. It's basically just all fucking bad, is what we're saying. It's just all bad. Bad stuff's just gonna happen all the time. And that's okay, but you take it and you process it and you regurgitate it as something awesome. That's my theory.
But isn't it amazing? We all live in the midst of this right now, and everyone's playing games. We're all soldiers, and Batman's a soldier, and the Avengers are soldiers, and Superman's a soldier.
Right.
And when does it end?
I don't know. I mean, it's a really powerful image to use. And I think one of the reasons that I had wanted to play with it is because, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, forming My Chemical Romance as a response to 9/11, even the arc of the band it was almost like a similar response to a lot of America, whereas I put on a uniform too, and I guess I thought that's what I was supposed to do, is put on a uniform and try to reason with people, you know? And that was actually what the Black Parade was about. It was about reasoning with people. Some people saw it that way, some people didn't want to listen to reason. Got a lot of piss thrown at us sometimes.
It's very easy to get pissed these days.
It is.
But you know the idea, like, it used to be we were expanding frontiers. I always thought, well, it's really weird because I can't see anyone. I'm preaching to the fucking dead. You know, but Star Trek, we were expanding frontiers. I always talk about, it seems really strange to me that when I was a kid growing up, as a little pacifist kid, and I was in love with Star Trek, and it was about this kind of idea of this diverse group of Americans who were all kind of, you know, he's the Scottish American guy, he's the Vulcan American, he's the Chinese American, he's the Black Czech American, and they're all flying through space on the ultimate expression of human technology, and you know, it's the most beautiful spaceship, and they're out there exploring the frontiers. And now when you go to The Walking Dead, there's this, you know, ethnically diverse group of Americans protecting their own asses against the hopelessness of the apocalypse. And they're all going to die in the end, they're all going to be zombies in the end. And there was this really strange fall from this idea of expanding frontiers into defending frontiers. And I'm kind of, when do we get past it, you know? And has the art that we've created, do you think, made any dent in this? Is all part of the same thing? Or are we just playing with apocalypse?
That's a really good question. I'd like to think that it did make a dent. I think, but that's only in the people that you meet that tell you that, you know? People that have maybe altered the course of their life in some way, or decided to go to art school instead of join the army. Not that there's anything wrong with either of those.
No, it's not. I get nothing against soldiers. As I said, I grew up as a pacifist. My father was an anti-war activist. But, you know, I like the soldiers that I met are nice boys, but they've just been controlled by a bunch of old cunts. Do things that aren't necessarily justifiable, and I feel sorry. I feel as if they should be doing something better, like, you know, high kicking and dancing or something, or putting on fireworks shows, because they're really damn good at fireworks. Couldn't they just do more of that shit?
That would be nice, and more fireworks would be really nice.
So, but when you started the band, what did you feel then? Why did you feel
I
it?
was really mad, you know? I was really upset. This weird thing had always happened to me since I was young, which, like, I don't want to get too much into my personal life in terms of, yeah, in terms of my upbringing and things like that, but from a very young age, I've had this ability to, I just feel I have a lot of empathy. I can feel, right now, this room feels really good. Some rooms I've been in don't feel very good, and some people I've been around don't feel very good, and you kind of become sometimes a conduit, you channel this energy, and you use it again, you take the bad and turn it into good. But that's kind of what I was trying to do, taking something awful and turning it into good, because being surrounded by those people, we all watched the same buildings go down, but I was completely numb within that, because I was basically paralyzed with everybody else's emotions around me. And so the only thing to do with all of that stuff was to make something good out of it. And that's really what that was. That's really what that was. And the end of it all is very relative to the beginning of it all, because in the end of it all, I had already said what I needed to say. So to keep continuing along that path would have been just doing it for money or something. It wasn't, there was nobody left. Everything I needed to say to help people, I said. I could do other things with my art, but that's what I chose to do for that time, and that time's done. But, you know, it was fun.
Wasn't it funny to see Prince Harry doing the internet, not the internet, Fleet Review, the Fleet Review, and he's watching ships go by. And it's like, you can understand that if there's like 10 guys in front of me and you walk past them and go, your shoes aren't quite clean. So then buttons should be done properly. How do you do it with boats? What's he say onto the porthole open down there? You know? Pull that boat over here and I'll slap its face. And then we were talking about, imagine it was the internet Fleet Review. He's like, that's what I would do, just turns out to be, sucks. You were talking about this, the whole idea of creative paralysis, which, as I said, is not quite as bad as full body paralysis, but the notion of creative paralysis, because you came after Black Parade, there was a lost MCR reputation, wasn't there? Kind of, there was that whole, you wanted to talk about this particular idea, what happens when the artist is frozen and doesn't know where to go, or doesn't know how to progress?
You know, in the years since Black Parade, I've kind of come to learn that paralysis comes from not being in line with what's true for you. And by the end of Black Parade, I had, in fact, said everything that I wanted to say. Now, the only thing left for me to say after the Black Parade was just how pissed off I was at the way people may have reacted or given me money. Wait, what's that?
She said, "Fuck the Daily Mail!" Come on, that's only one of the newspapers we want to fuck. There's a whole fucking parade of these fucking newspapers we would love to fuck. A newspaper I'd love to hang. The news of the world is gone though, so one down.
So, let's see, so at the end of Black Parade, you know, this is not something I've shared with anybody, and I've spoken to Grant about it, Kristen, and I've spoken, obviously, to my wife. My daughter, Van, is way too young to understand any of that is going on. She thinks everybody's parents go on stage and perform. She just thinks it's super normal, because she's seen her mother do it and me on TV and stuff. So, anyway, so after that, I had encountered what I felt was a creative paralysis. And it was the hardest thing for me to write lyrics all of a sudden. I couldn't write lyrics anymore, and all my lyrics were just really angry. Again, like, I was mad about getting paid for what I did. I was really mad about that. And, you know, so that's kind of where I almost wanted it to stop. But I hadn't been honest with myself, that was true. So I went on. I said, let's make this record. And that's Conventional Weapons. I went on to make that. And then, no, that's not good enough. Now I can recapture that. Let me just put it all into the art. Let's chase the art. Database. And again, kind of through a haze through that period, you know? I fell back into a lot of old habits because it was easy, because I felt in control. I wasn't in control at all. And then after that, climbing out of it, it got worse. It got worse because I became even more paralyzed and more depressed. And I started to work on a record that was a concept record about a group of parents in a support group because they all lost their children in a horrible way. And that was supposed to be the last record. And that's not a story I wanted to tell. And the songs reflected that, and you could hear it. And all the joy was just gone.
So how did you feel about that, not only that record, but the one before, when it was kind of post-Black Parade, you were trying to do something, what, was it more commercial, or was it going back to the roots?
Well, what it was supposed to be, what conventional weapons was supposed to be, it was supposed to be, hey, we can get on the radio really easy, so let's make a record that sounds like the Stooges. Because that would be really funny to get on the radio. That was it. That's the concept.
So how did you feel when you listened to that stuff then?
Oh, well, that didn't happen. When I listen back to it, I'm like, this, I mean, maybe some of the spirit has some of that proto-punk, but I'm talking, I love really shitty sounding drums. I really do. The kick drum needs to sound like cardboard, the ride cymbal. Basically, it needs to sound like Static Age by the Misfits. That's how the drums should always sound. When you are part of this large machinery, it is almost impossible to convince anyone that that's the way something should sound. It's very difficult to say, I need this to sound like shit. And then you need producers. What's that? So you need producers, and you get all kinds of arrogant responses back, like, well, I don't even know how to do that. I don't even know how to make shitty sounds. Because there's no other way to describe it. Lo-fi doesn't work, indie doesn't work. I just want to sound shit. And so I noticed from that point on, there was this sheen of this gloss, this piling on of components upon components in order to get it to sound like whatever it got to sound like, you know. But that's not to say I didn't put everything in my heart into all those things, because I did. But I fought with myself for years, you know. I'd always thought the end of My Chemical Romance was kind of the end of my story. So I envisioned it ending a lot later, but I didn't realize that it most likely could be a beginning. It's part of my life that's really important and I'm really proud of.
So, I mean, does the expectation become the enemy of artistic evolution?
I was always able to use expectation as a powerful weapon. You know, when we finished Revenge, everybody was like, oh, this is just some band that wears black and red, and kids that go to the mall listen to them, and they're not going to do anything of substance. And then, you know, I knew that that was the vibe on us. So, you know, I wanted to make Black Parade, and then that was the answer to that. And then my answer to after Black Parade was like a protest. It was like, fuck it, now I don't want everything to sound like total hot garbage, you know. And
but then this other thing, which was, I mean, I heard a few of these songs and it was super dark.
It was really dark.
We were working on really, really dark. It sounded like antidepressant music. Really good though. I enjoyed what you were doing, but man, it was dark. I
was in a dreamlike state in those days, you know. I'd grown to weigh about, like, I was finally broke 200 pounds again. I mean, it was just like, you know, like, what is that like? It's hard to walk upstairs. It's hard to breathe and play with your daughter. It sucks. So it was a really dark period, and it did feel like a dream. It really did feel like a dream. And then I just had to be honest with myself. I was honest with myself, and I'm not really fucking happy. And I wake up every day and I make art. That's not something I could have said to you guys that I do all the time. I would always, there's some kind of strategy where I have to keep something hidden from the entire world because some record label needs to launch it properly and they need 3 fucking months to do that and put up bus ads and whatever the hell it is they do. You know, or you have to be able to lose your studio weight. There's so much bullshit involved when none of it is just putting art out, not thinking about it too much. It should be good, but put it out, you know, get it out there.
I mean, since, I've stopped being in the band, every single day I make a piece of art. I load my car with everything from markers to guitars. I find every day I'm doing some different kind of art, I just completed a full body of music I'm really proud of. So,
The thing is,